Thank you so much for coming out on a Sunday afternoon to hear some great speakers. I am very, very honored to have them here. I'm going to give you a quick introduction. This is Lula Kelly. She's here from ACTS, Action Community Through Service. Tony Turnage is here from the Department of Social Services. He's the Homeless Service Division Chief. And then we have Ronnie Roth from Catholic Charities St. Margaret of Cortona Residential Residences, the housing, which is just over here on G Street, not very far from us. There are neighbors. So we're going to start with, Tony's going to start, and then we're going to have Lula, and then we're going to have Ronnie finish it out. So the format's going to be, they're going to each give a little bit of talk about their particular organization or group they're with. And then we're going to have just a little break where I'm going to give a little public service announcement and some explanation of some stuff that's on the table there. And then we're going to have a question and answer period. So if you, because there's 3 speakers, if you want to get we have paper and pencil available. If you want to, pens, I don't have pencils, we have pens. If you want to jot down your questions, so this way if it's for, speaker number 1 and then you've heard the other 2 and now you've forgotten. So it's nice to be able to just jot down some notes. So we're going to hold all questions, okay, until all of our speakers have gone. And then we're going to stay here for a little bit of time and just whatever you want to ask them. I'm sure they're going to be thrilled to answer you. So I should tell you, as a parish, we support ACTS and St. Margaret of Cortona in our charitable giving through our parish funds. And all of you, if you faithfully pay your taxes, you support Tony's work as well. The county. So it's nice for you to pay your taxes so that all work can be done on all levels. I'm always inspired to be with people who love what they do. They have a passion for what they do to help the homeless, and their hearts are moved enough to work with people who they care for. So it's always inspiring me to be around people who are in human services work. As you know, it is near and dear to my heart. I am the director of human concerns here at the parish, so I'm particularly thrilled that they all agreed to come. So. I hope you'll give them your respect. And again, if you've got some questions, it'd be a great time to talk. So this time I'm going to ask our pastor, Father Brian Bashista, to give a little opening prayer for us, and then Tony will begin his talk. Okay? Can we all please stand for just a moment?
Let me just take this moment to thank Monica and all the foundation that she is building upon that has occurred in this parish to be attentive to and put our faith into action to help those in need. I feel very blessed to be the pastor of such a parish, and we're building on all those firm foundation. And this is a part of that today. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. Can you, gracious God, we thank you for gathering us today. We ask you to bless our speakers, Lord, in the tremendous work that they do, not only to serve those entrusted to their care, but to help us to collaborate with them. Lord, it is our mission as faithful disciples to be attentive to the needs of the poor, in whatever form that might take, and that we are to place all the resources that are first and foremost a gift from you to be used by others as well. We ask you to bless our time, that all that we offer and receive this afternoon might be according to your holy will. We ask this in your holy and glorious name. Amen. Amen. Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Okay, Tony. God bless you.
How long do I have? 2 minutes? 2 minutes?
You might come up here just for... I know you've got a lot of voice, but all that.
Good afternoon. First, I want to thank Monica for inviting me out to speak at your church, because it's always a great opportunity to talk more about homelessness. So just a little bit about me. I've been in homeless services about 19 years now. Worked for a nonprofit for 5 years. I was with a previous local jurisdiction for about 14 years. And Prince William County fortunately hired me out here. So I've been here since January 2nd, so about 3 months, 3.5 months, so forth. So just talk about Homeless Services Division, which is a brand new division to the Department of Social Services. And what that says to me, I'm going to say the same thing I said at a presentation I did on Thursday, is that Prince William County is making investments to figure out how do you reduce homelessness, how do you prevent homelessness, how do you make it rare and brief, how do you help people who basically sometimes have challenges that we take for granted, things that we actually do. So as far as the division is concerned, what we're mainly responsible for is a couple of key areas that I'll just talk about. We do grant writing, of course, at the federal and state level for a lot of the programs that Lula and some of the other great nonprofits actually operate. We coordinate with the nonprofits as well as with the faith-based community through CCOM, because without those individuals and those organizations putting their heart into addressing homelessness and preventing homelessness, there's no way we would actually be able to successfully do it. The other part of it is that I like to talk about in the short time that I have is like, I guess the overall function of what this department or this division is supposed to do is to prevent homelessness on one end. And for those who become homeless, how do you make it brief, as I said earlier, but it's really the prevention. How do you actually close the front door to homelessness? That's one of the key parts. If you have as many people as you actually help get out of homelessness, if there's just that same number coming in, then there's no impact. So I'd like to talk about some of the key components of a home service system, and that's what I want to talk about. So the first thing is we need to prevent everybody who potentially is at risk of becoming homeless. Of course, there's the Bill Mayer Drop-In Center, which is actually where my office is actually located, because you have a good number of people who live in the woods and the streets who just need some basic attention, getting a shower, things of that nature. If we are not able to prevent somebody from becoming homeless, of course, we have emergency shelters that serve individuals and families, as well as the domestic violence shelter. We have some temporary programs like transitional housing, which is to help make that transition into their own housing. And then I want to talk about the last two, which are probably the two biggest movements in the home service field, which is rapid rehousing, and permanent supportive housing. And I'll talk about the differences between the two in a second. So for rapid rehousing, anybody who's homeless is eligible for rapid rehousing. And basically what we try to do is we try to operate from a housing first model. And what that simply means is the model from the 80s was you got to come into the shelter, prove your worth, do what you're told, and hopefully we reward you at the end. Now it's about how do we assess somebody and determine who's most vulnerable, who has the greatest need, and figure out ways to move them into housing in spite of. In spite of you don't have employment, in spite of you have a mental illness, in spite of, hey, you haven't been meeting with your case manager, because ultimately what we want to do at the end of the day is reduce somebody's stay in shelter, okay? The other program I want to talk about is permanent supportive housing. And basically, that is for persons who've been on the streets a long time and they have a disability. You have to have actually both. So permanent supportive housing is key because you can imagine you've got a good number of people who may have a mental illness, a substance abuse issue, or they may have both. And the key with permanent supportive housing is that it's long-term, as long as they qualify for the program. And the key part is it comes with supports and a rental subsidy to keep them in the community. And the biggest part is the supports. I think in both of those programs, it's about how Lula may need a certain amount of assistance, financial and supportive services. And I should have something that looks very different from Lula because we have different needs. Although we're both homeless in this case that I'm giving, we still are different people and we still have different issues and things that need to be addressed. And that's what the key of the system is supposed to do. Now, one of the things that we've recently implemented since I've been here with Richmond County is the coordinated entry system. And that system is responsible for coordinating all of these programs together. So there's one number, and I want to give that number out. It's 703-792-3366. And I know you guys are wondering, all right, who should call that number? Okay. If you know somebody in your parish, or if you know somebody in general who might be at risk of becoming homeless, you should call that number. If you know somebody who is homeless and saying that, hey, I want some help, you should call that number. So basically, it goes back to what I talked about earlier. We're preventing homelessness and we're trying to end homelessness. So in either instance, you can actually call that number. And basically, it operates from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Sunday. So we can always have somebody who will answer their phone and answer and pretty much do an assessment to figure out what are the needs of the individual that they're talking to on the other end. We do everything from trying to coordinate emergency shelter, emergency placement in hotel stays, as well as accessing dollars and cents to prevent somebody from becoming homeless. So with that, I will yield my time.
Did you get the number again?
Okay, sure.
We'll have that available.
703-792-3366. So yield my time. I'm not sure who's next.
Okay. Lula, yes, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, for allowing us to come. I want to say thanks to you guys for supporting ACTS. We're always in need of help, so we really appreciate that. I'm Lula Kelly. I'm the Director of Housing for ACTS. I've been with ACTS for 5 years now, and we have several different programs. So we have a sexual assault victims program that helps people are victims of sexual assault. We have an accompanying program that goes with them to the hospital for accompaniment while they do the exams, and for aftercare afterwards. We have a domestic violence program, which it entails court services that helps people get brain fart. Help get restraining orders if you're in need of them, or help with some of the court processes that they go through after they've been a victim of domestic violence. We have children's groups for children, for women, for men, and we also have a program for the batterers as well. We also have a domestic violence shelter. So I'm over the domestic violence shelter, our emergency shelter, and our women's empowerment center. And in our domestic violence shelter, we take men, women, and children, as long as they're in a domestic violence situation. We help them with a lot of resources. It really depends on the client. If they need counseling, if they need children's counseling, if they need resources to help them get from transportation from one place to another. We work with the court services program to help them get restraining orders and things of that nature. We also help them with housing, job searches, whatever it is that they're in need of at that time, so they don't have to go back into the same situation. We also have an emergency shelter. It's an 18-bed shelter. We house families and single females. We used to house families and single males, but as of March 1st, we switched over to families and single females. And that shelter, everybody receives case management. We help them with pretty much the same resources, whether it be jobs, mainstream resources, getting TANF, any type of benefits like that, food stamps, Medicaid for their kids, or things of that nature. We help them with resumes, transportation. But one of the main things that we help them with from the get-go is housing. Like Tony said, we're in a housing first model, so the whole purpose for them being there is to gain housing. So whether you have a job or you don't have a job, or we can find a landlord that'll take you, whether if you don't have a job, or we can find an apartment complex because you have a job, then that's what we do. We work diligently with them with intensive case management to help them gain some place to live. We try to make their stay as brief as possible to try and not disrupt their lives anymore or any further than they already have been. We work with the children in the school district with transportation because we feel that children's lives should not be displaced just because of the situation that they're in. So we work with the school system to make sure that they stay in the same school, that we work with transportation to pick them up. They're usually either the first people on the bus or the last people off the bus, so no one knows that they're living in our shelter, because confidentiality is really important with us. We also have a Women's Empowerment Center. That was our transitional center in which we're phasing out of, and we're working on some other things to do with that program. But that program entails, we took families and we work with them. Those are usually people who have a job, they have, some of the mainstream resources, but they're not quite ready to move into a place of their own and maintain it. So they need just a little more intensive case management, a little more stability, a little more care. And we work with them, help them learn budgeting, things of that nature, and so that they can move into their own place and really sustain their own housing on their own. We also have a food pantry, and we give away about, I think Steve said about a ton of food a month. We're We're working really hard. We're opening up a hunger prevention center. So our food pantry is semi-closed this week, last week and this week, because we're trying to open our hunger prevention center that will come on board June 1st. And it'll be an expansion of our food pantry so that we can service more people in the community. We also have emergency assistance. Our emergency assistance consists of utility assistance, and we help people with their Novak or Dominion, their water, gas bills, if they have a disconnection notice. We help them pay, we can work out a deposit system with whatever utility company that is. We will do that, work with them, try to get their bills paid, and one of the reasons why your donation is so important, because we have people that come in with a disconnection notice from $120 to $1,200. And when you have that huge array, your money dwindles really fast, appointments go like that, and it's really hard to maintain that system, especially because that system is completely paid by donations from people like you. So that was one of the reasons I said thank you for that. We also have a 24-hour hotline. Our crisis hotline takes care of all types of crisis calls: suicide, domestic violence. It's just a very array. We talk to the elderly. We do a senior link call where we call some of the elderly who don't really have any family left. Nobody really calls them or talks to them. We call them. We have a system set up where we call them just to say, hey, how are you? Did you take your medication today? Are you in need of anything? Things like that, just so they don't feel alone. Like I said, it is a 24-hour call center where we take all different calls. It is national, so when we're not taking local calls, we're taking national calls as well. And one of the other things that we have is a system where we deliver food to the elderly as well. A lot of times we get phone calls from people that they have no transportation, they might be disabled, they can't really get out and about to go grocery shopping. So the only time they get that is that weekly time that we deliver groceries to them. So we have that program as well. As Tony mentioned, we are a participant with the county in the COC, which is the Continuum of Care, where a lot of the agencies work together to try to provide the best care possible for the residents of Prince William County. And as a participant of that, we are a provider of rapid rehousing. And so that's the way that we are able to fund paying people's deposit and their first month's rent and making sure that they can get into housing. So, and also we work with the county and other participants as well to help out with resources. We might refer them, because like Northern Virginia Family Services does prevention. So we talk to them, figure out what they're in need of, and we work with them to get a referral over to them. Also, as Tony said, the coordinated entry system came on, which is making life a whole lot easier for the providers of Prince William County, because since that system has come on, before that, everybody called everybody. They would call our shelter, they would call Hildebard, they would call SERV, and you would have the same people calling around to each one of them. If they couldn't get into this one because that one was full, they would just keep calling. Or we would take their information and put them on the wait list. Well, now what's taking place is since we have the coordinated entry system on board, everybody calls that number that Tony gave you, and they have a call center as well. And they call them, they work with them, they figure out what's the best possible needs, what resources are they in need of, and then they will send them to whatever shelter there's a bed available for them. So they no longer have to call all the shelters. They can just say, okay, we see that Axe has a single female bed available. We're gonna send you to Axe, and they'll send us over the paperwork, and we'll take them into the shelter, which has made life so much easier. Phone calls have dropped down, and just the process has been a lot smoother now since we've taken that on board. So that is what we do at Axe. So I look forward to your questions afterwards. Thank you.
One of the benefits of being older is that you carry paper with you because your memory doesn't hold things. I'm Ronnie Roth, and I'm director of St. Margaret of Cortona. I work for Catholic Charities, the Diocese of Arlington, and we're your neighbors, and we are extremely grateful for all that you do to support our family at St. Margaret. I'm one of those GAP programs that that Tony referred to. We do transitional housing, and the diocese has been very deliberate in that decision to move forward and stay with transitional housing. I have to acknowledge I have been in social services since 1974, working in homeless services since 1994. So I've seen a lot of best new practices and there's a place for them. There's a place for all of them. I have run rapid rehousing programs. I have run permanent supportive housing programs. I've run emergency shelters. There is a place for them. And just as we believe that there is diversity among our population, I think there also needs to be diversity in the solutions for families and for individuals. And so that has been the position that the Catholic Charities has taken, and it's one of the reasons that St. Margaret and Christ House are still out there doing transitional housing. So we find that many of our families have experienced significant trauma, not the least of which homelessness is one of them. Over the 10 years that we've been operating, we have worked with 64 families, around 150 children have lived with us. So we recognize the level of distress that some of these families arrive at. And what we've been trying to do is remodel the program to support work development and to support mental health healing. We recognize that adverse childhood experiences are a devastating effect on people, that many of our homeless families, as they report through their therapy sessions with us, probably have as many as 4 or 5 adverse childhood experiences. Those are not things that are recoverable simply because you've been put in a house with a bed. So we often see families that have been through domestic violence, who have been through the shelters several times, and maybe have had rapid rehousing and it wasn't successful the first time. Given that the model with rapid rehousing is that you try again and you try again, and there is that hope that the housing first model will really begin to work with the family. But some families are in deep trouble. And one of the things that we do at St. Margaret is we have just gone into hiring our therapist in the last year, because one of the things that we discovered is that our families are not very trusting. I think anybody who's worked with homeless families or families who are in sore distress realize that. There's a lot of reason for them not to be trusting. So we let them trust the art with our therapists so that they don't have to do talk therapy. My apology to any clinical counselors out there. But through the art, they often are able to reveal and disclose information that we probably wouldn't have gained through regular talk therapy. We also have a work development program. We had a very generous donor who in 2014 provided funds, and the diocese decided that we would use them for work enhancement. So with that, we have managed to put some 23 clients through a variety of educational programs, including, let's see, let me look at my list here. Dental assisting, veterinary assisting, we've done GED programs, hospital administration, the NCLEX RN, registered nursing exams, ESL programs, obviously HOGAR is a huge support for that. And our car ministry, we are fortunate that the car ministry prioritizes St. Margaret clients. And so when they get their driver's license, which we've also put them through driver's ed programs, then we also are able to furnish them with a vehicle through Catholic Charities. So we too are a social services agency. Bishop Laverty used to call us the heart of the Catholic Church, and that meant a great deal to all of us who are working at Catholic Charities. So we want to continue to refine our work development program. We're using a testing assessment program called the CAB, it's called Career Assessment Testing Battery, and it's a validated program that allows us to kind of hone down on the skills and abilities that our clients may have and help direct them towards certain career paths. They get to do the investigation, they get to do the choosing, and we try to help them find educational or vocational programs to support them. And I mentioned some of the ones that we were doing earlier, so that they're looking at targeted careers. We know that living in Northern Virginia is not an easy proposition. I left some paperwork out. I think it's at minimum wage in Northern Virginia, you have to work 160 hours according to the National Low Income Housing Coalition in order to afford a 1-bedroom apartment. It's crazy. So you tell me how many folks can afford to work 160 hours, pay for 160 hours worth of childcare. It's tough. We also have a child services coordinator. The state sort of drop kicked that funding about 6 years ago. I'm looking at you, Joanne, if you remember. But Catholic Charities has decided to maintain that position at St. Margaret. Like Lula suggested, we work with the schools in terms of McKinney-Vento, and our counselor also works with the parents to go through IEPs or child-parent discussions. So there's lots of pieces where we offer support not just to the children, but to the parents who are in difficult situations. So we're a little different. Maybe they'd say we're a little old-fashioned, but we are serving too, and we think that we are making a significant difference in the lives of those that we are helping. I thank you all, particularly for your support, and we have learned a lot, and I have to go back. Is anybody familiar with this document? Came out in 1975. Says the United States is in the midst of a severe housing crisis. This is broader, more pervasive, and more complicated phenomenon than the customary photographs of urban slums and rural shacks could indicate. Families suffer from serious housing deprivation. They either live in physically inadequate buildings, suffer from severe overcrowding, or spend an excessive proportion of their income on shelter. These are issues we are all still dealing with. This came out from the pastoral response to a crisis in counseling from the Catholic bishops of the United States back in November of 1975, and we're still fighting the same battle. Thank you for your support, and we hope that we can win it.
Thank you all. I've got questions, so if nobody else does, I still got questions. I've always got questions. God knows I always have questions. Okay, so in case any of you need to leave while the question and answering is going on, I just want to make sure I explain some of the stuff that we have on the table and that's available, and a little bit of some other stuff, just so that in case you have to leave. But I really would encourage you to stay, and if you have questions, to ask them and to hear what other people are also concerned about. Okay, so as I said, we as a parish do financially support Acts and St. Margaret of Cortona. Every month we give some of our collection that we take in as a parish. We do give them money to help with, yes, Father?
I'm curious to know, as your pastor, I have a question for you. How many of you knew that as a parish we give monthly to St. Margaret of Cortona and Acts? And Acts stands for Action and Community Service. Okay. Do any of you know how much money we give them? I'm prepared to share that. I don't care. I'm going to be wholly disclosive. And this is my predecessor. Father May decided to give $900 a month to St. Margaret of Cortona and $1,800 a month to Acts. These are your collection dollars going in the basket every Sunday. I don't think many Christians know that. And I want that to get out. These are just two. We also give to other entities, organizations. And this money that Mary Ann Jones and now Monica kind of filters. And I am just delighted to continue that. But I don't think the average Christian knows that. And the needs are even greater than that. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do more. But your generosity allows us to do that. We do have facilities and bills and things, but a large chunk of that Sunday collection goes to those in need outside of the parish. And I think we need to know that. So I knew you weren't going to share that because you didn't have the authority to, but I do.
Since he did, I'll tell you, we give $200 a month to Servants at Work, which supports the salaries for the drop-in center. Is run collection. It's called the Cooperative Council of Ministries. Has a 501c3 that the money is collected to help pay the salaries for the people who work at the drop-in center and to support the programs that they do. So we also give faithfully every month to them. So that's a county program that we do. So we really are supporting everything that they do in one way or another. Plus, we do have many collections for all these different organizations. If I noticed, we have our Acts That wasn't just for her. Thanks, actually. Collection, which is building up until you reopen the where we can drop the food off. So okay, I just wanted, so I did just want to let you know we do financially support them. That is, and again, as Catholic Christians, the call to respond to help our brothers and sisters in need is concretely manifested when we take our dollars that we earn and then we give to our church, and we trust that the faithful here will then in turn support. So even if we don't directly, if sometimes we don't know how to help, but by giving to the Catholic Church, you can know that some of your money is going to help your brothers and sisters in need, and indeed a good chunk of ours. So that I'm always thrilled about that. Okay, I want to point out there's a couple of drop-in center fundraisers. The drop-in center is, as Tony pointed out, is where people can come. They can get a shower, they can do laundry, they have programs. It's a place for them to check in, so to speak, with, again, a regular lifestyle. There are people there who are working, who have normal days, and when you're homeless, sometimes your days are not actually configured normally. You know, your time is out. Are you trying to get to work? You're spending a lot of time thinking about other things than people who have permanent housing may be thinking about. So they have the drop-in center is a wonderful place where they can get all kinds of services. So they are having a couple of fundraisers going on right now, so I just want to share them with you. One of them is April 30th. They're having at the All-American Steakhouse. It's an all-day thing. 10% of your purchase will go towards there. You just need a copy of the flyer. I put some out there. If they run out or you want more to give to people, I'm happy to make some more copies. You just need to have a flyer with you, though, to get that as a benefit. Okay, every year, usually around this time, turning into summer, we start supporting bug spray for the folks who live out in the woods. As all of you know, if you step out on your deck, come soon now. Lovely Virginia has a lot of humidity, and that brings also a lot of mosquitoes. So we usually have a bug spray drive for that. This year, the Cooperative Council of Ministries is grouping all of the churches in the area who support the drop-in center, and we're having a bug spray fundraiser done through a woman who sells Avon. So there's a little thing here. So what we're encouraging, the woman is being very generous. She's donating all of her commission on her sales, all of her commission, to the drop-in center for their programs. So she is not making any money, and this is a fundraiser for acts as well. So the bug spray, it's 2 for $15. You have to get 2 though, okay? And what they're hoping is you buy one for you and donate one to the drop-in center. It's a real easy way. You don't have to go out and you'll order it. You'll give me the money. I'll order it for you. And when it comes in, I'll give you yours, and I'll make sure the drop-in center one goes to them. Or you can donate both of them to the drop-in center, or you can buy both for yourself. And again, the proceeds from that, the money that the woman would have collected, she's going to donate to the drop-in center. So that's a great fundraiser. That's going through May 18th. If you didn't bring a form of payment today, I have forms there that you can take home, fill out, and you can just drop them off here at the parish office. And I will be happy to make sure that happens. Just give me a contact number or email for you so that when it comes in, I'll be able to get you. It'll be a few weeks. We're ending this on May 18th, so it'll be a little while before you would get it. So if you're planning on your big mosquito trip before then, you might have to go buy a can somewhere before then. So again, that's just another fundraiser, which is an easy way to help out. Okay, there are also Savers. I don't know if you know that thrift store over by Staples. The Church on the Move, which is just down the road off of Touchstone Circle behind Safeway there, a big church back there. They are being a collection point for donations for things that, if you have clearing out in your closet. If you didn't get it done in time to help support the night sale that's going on this weekend, you still have time to go through your closet and help out those at the drop-in center. So we're going to collect the stuff here, and then I will bring it to the Church on the Move, and then they will bring it all over to Savers, and they will get paid so much per pound. So I'll have a list of that. I'm going to put that up on the Human Concerns kiosk so you can see what it is. But clothing would be great. It's nice and soft, and I won't get hurt. Okay, I also made up I'm a firm believer in don't give people education and information without giving them a chance. Don't tell them about a problem if you don't offer them a way that they can help. So here's how can I help? And I made up a list of things that you can do. So take one of these at least and read through it and see if there's ways, that you can say, hey, look, I am helping the homeless, or wow, I got a lot of work to do. But again, this is all, everything, God is so good. He provides an invitation to each one of us to help. And he always, always presents opportunities for us to exercise that response, to say yes to him. So, can we do it all individually? Absolutely not. And at any time, can I help everybody that's asking me for help? Absolutely not. And oftentimes, family circumstances are required, us to allocate our funds for different things, and sometimes we just can't help with our funds. That's not a way we can help right now. But we are in need of assistance. St. Margaret of Cortona has all kinds of opportunities, for mentors, where they do life skill classes. Catholic Charities in general, I will say, I try to post up on the kiosk some different ways that you can help with them. Their website is always expressing ways that they need, that they can use help. So sometimes we have time when we don't have money or we don't have goods that we can give. Our time is most precious, and God gives everybody 24 hours in a day, so we're all equal on that, regardless of what our jobs are. So we can all give maybe a little bit of our time to something that we believe in, and that we are entrusted by God to care for our brothers and sisters. So that's one way. We also have I don't know if you caught some of this this video that was playing here. I found it quite moving. It's always hard to see when children are suffering, and children do suffer when they are pulled up and forced to move, and they're in a place for short times. These housing, shelters provide short-term housing often, and it is very difficult for children when we settle them one place and then we yank them out, and we settle them and we yank them. It does, as Ronnie pointed out, there's a whole host of issues that people then acquire over their lifetime, and these are very difficult to deal with, and sometimes just putting them in a house, right, is not going to address all those, so we do need counselors and all that kind of stuff. So there is a Homeless Children and Youth Act that was brought up last year in Congress, and it kind of stalled out. So there are some letters here that if you are interested, you can take one of these, look at it in. You can, of course, do it in email form. You can do that. And the Virginia Catholic Conference also provides us with opportunities, issues that come up that it's again under the Diocese of Richmond and of Arlington, and has the authority of the bishops there to encourage us to support legislation or to vote against legislation, to encourage our representatives to vote for or against legislation that either helps or benefit or detracts from the assistance to our brothers and sisters in need. And again, all along in Catholic teaching. So I have stuff up on the kiosk again for the Virginia Catholic Conference. Really easy. You can go online and subscribe, and they will email you when some legislation is coming up, and simply you just have to fill it out and fill in your name again, your email, and send it off, and it's another tick mark for that congressman that some of his or her constituents are feeling strongly about an issue. So I highly encourage you to do that. It's free, and somebody's doing the tracking for us. We don't have to track everything that's going on in Congress, which I'm very grateful for, because I have enough time tracking what's going on in my own house, so much less the House of Representatives. So that's another thing there. Okay, and then Tony, it was nice enough to give you that number for the coordinated entry system. And Father Bashista and I have been working on this for a little while now on getting some cards out, because there is the issue of panhandling that comes up, and people standing on street corners, and our hearts are moved to want to help, but we're never quite sure what is the best thing to do to help in this situation. So often people want to have something to give, so we made up something for you to give. It's a card that has that coordinated entry system number on it. It also has numbers for the food pantries and their hours on it, and who does it, so that they can give a call. So if the person really is in need of assistance, this will give them information. If they're not really needed of assistance, and this is their part-time job to stand on a corner with a little homeless sign with one letter in the wrong spot, just to make you think that they're also slightly illiterate. I'm sorry if I sound somewhat cynical, but these are professionals who are out there. Are they not, Tony? Yes? I'm just saying, let's just say his boss told us that they are professionals, and they bust them in many places. So this is a concern. We are moved, and we should be moved when we see somebody who says that they are homeless, hungry, or without a job, and are looking for something. As Christians, we should be moved when we see these people standing there. So there's nothing wrong with that your heart is wanting to help. That's a good thing, a very good thing. But we don't know. Are they just doing this? Are they trying to take advantage of us? You know, and oftentimes I don't know, you can offer them something and they're like, eh. Now everybody has personal preferences on the kind of help they want to get, but if you're really desperate, it seems to me you would take what somebody's offering. So you also can tell sometimes by the shoes they wear. Some of them are even nicer than mine. So they're probably not homeless. You usually can tell the people who are homeless. Oftentimes they will have their entire life's belongings in a cart or in a bag or something right next to them. But if they're just standing there with a nice little backpack, and they've got nice little sneakers on, and they're just standing there with that little cardboard sign, Mike Michaels, maybe in Target you've seen them, and Dale Boulevard, maybe you've seen them. And as someone from the county had said, they give the homeless a bad name. So, because we become distrustful then, and we feel like we're being taken advantage of, and that's something certainly God has asked us to be good stewards, so we don't want to do that. So we have made up these little cards. There's a whole bunch of them on the table there, and we can certainly make more, and they will be available on the kiosk. So if you would like to take, a small little handful of them right now and have them in your car, so when you come and you want to roll down and you want to give them, if you really still feel like, wow, maybe they are hungry, you just want to be nice to somebody who's standing there and you want to just offer somebody a snack, that's fine. You can bring your granola bars with you if you want and offer that with the card. We suspect a lot of these are going to wind up on the ground, but the hope is that if somebody truly is in need, they will get the numbers where they can get the real assistance. And the coordinated entry system number would be wonderful, and food pantry numbers. And again, talking to people individually, they might actually get hooked up to somebody who can help them. So realizing that a lot of these might be littering, we have worse litter than numbers that will help people. So again, they're on the table over there, and I urge you to take some of those. Big face. Yes.
So, this has always been a concern on my heart. When I was a teenager, I worked in our parish, St. Michael David. At the time, parishes could house homeless shelters, winter shelters. And then arriving here, we do have some people with the cardboard, sign. And then we're hearing, so the county's helping us. I'm so excited, Tony, about this coordinated entry system. I know all of us are, because Fairfax County has something similar. When I was there at St. Mary of Sorrows, they had a fantastic program because we are not really qualified to do a proper assessment. I mean, the goal is to really help those in true need. But Monica and I are not, and I don't know of anybody, but now we have those who are, okay? And we can gear our resources, financial resources to them that they can do the proper assessment, okay? So I am going to, as a pastor, really encourage us, take some of these, have them in your pocket. They're going to be on not only the Human Concerns kiosk, but on the main kiosk for the registration that just went up. And I'm going to be giving these out to people that have the cardboard sign here. Anybody that approaches us on this property in need, I want us encouraging them. Now, you can do what you want, okay? But I think if we truly want to help folks, and if they don't have a cell phone, maybe we call for them. It's amazing how many of these folks have cell phones, though. Okay? But this is the way we want them to connect them to get food on a sustained basis, to get housing on a sustained basis, to maybe get the training and skills, or maybe mental health on a sustained basis. And this is the way to really help. It might sound like a cop-out, oh, take this card, and no. This is a way that I think we can really make a difference. And as we were doing this card, we had a bunch of numbers on here until Tony and the county stepped up, and now we really have that one main number. So it's really going to streamline things tremendously. Now, I also want to say, we as a parish, this is what St. Mary of Sorrows does. Sometimes our fellow parishioners fall on hard times, okay, and they just can't make the utility bill, or they can't. Since I've been here, I am so pleased, Marianne and now Monica, we have helped some families, get over the hump to where their house was going to be repossessed. Okay, and this is all handled very confidentially, very quietly. But if someone's going to approach me, or me through Monica, and they're a parishioner, they're in true need. So we give more than just the 18, 900, and 200. we're also giving, so if you know someone who's a parishioner, now parishioners we might give direct, what we do is we collect some of their bills. We may or may not send them to ACTS, or we might handle it internally, okay, to get people over the hump. Okay, so this is where your Sunday collection dollars are going, okay, and I want you to be aware of that.
Okay, now, so, do you have a question for me or for them?
For either you or Father.
Okay.
You know, that card,
Mhm.
it's powerful. I mean, it really is. But to make it easy for people, why not put it on your website?
Oh, yeah, we will.
Make a PDF
That
that
was-
someone can print out,
Yeah,
cut out the card.
Oh, I see.
that's a great idea.
And have a link that they can give neighbors who are not parishioners
Yeah.
to get that card out.
It's an excellent idea.
It's that way, that works, that really works.
Yeah, because you can get those sheets at Staples, it's a business card, you know? So we have, it's 2 sides. Even the transit center, you know, some people say, I need money for a ride. So we have Prince William, or PRTC Transit Center, and the overnight shelter that's adjacent to them, okay? So homeless, hungry, or transportation, those are the 3 major, you know, requests I think we get, so.
Okay, now we'll open up for questions. I'm sorry if you were all aware. I hope you, this is why I told you to jot them down. I'm really sorry that I made you wait so long to get them. So I hope if there was something that they talked about that you would ask them, and then if you're comfortable sitting, you can stay where you are, or if you want to come up to the microphone, can you hear them if they're over there on the?
Think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Go ahead.
I just want to follow up with panhandling. As everyone knows around here, but I spent last week in LA, they have a huge problem with homelessness. And now the mayor's starting a program to build homes and everything else. But I was at a service station getting gas. Individual came up and wanted some cash for gas. I said, "Not." I didn't have change on me at that time. And he went to the lady next to me. She said no, but he got very aggressive with her, requesting funding. The manager came out of the station and chased him off. He went off with a new car. So I've never seen that extreme here. I've been approached and walked away, but that was something that is scary. But there are so many in LA.
Well, and a lot of people will come up to you with the domestic violence thing, especially to women. Women will come up to us, other women, and say, I'm in an abusive relationship, I need money for a hotel, or I've been in a hotel for 2 nights, I need half the amount to get to the next night. There's a domestic violence number on there, on this card. You can call, call with them if they don't, you can use your phone to call if you feel comfortable doing that. And again, as women, I think, maybe, I know this is how I was raised, and I try raising my daughters, be very aware of your situation, and always have, an out or something. I'm sorry, I don't give cash out, that's a general, that's basically ask my children, I don't give cash out. So maybe, there's. Lots of cookies. Lots of, my kids get lots of cookies, but not cash. So I'm just saying, these are some things you can offer to them and say, there are programs, we do have housing, we do have this number you can call if you're looking for housing. So really kind of get yourself, and again, these cards give you maybe a few moments even to process. I'm looking at this card here and I see there's a number for domestic violence on here. So I would recommend call this number if you really need help, and you might be able to find. Again, it's not a cheap out. It's, again, we're concerned about the person in their totality. And again, just throwing money at somebody temporarily is not going. It's going to help them for this next half hour, an hour, maybe, whatever, and then they're going to be asking again. And it's going to take a long time to help people. We are very complex human beings, so it's going to take some time. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just ask each of the speakers, first of all, thank you for coming. But I wonder if you could just take a few minutes and maybe kind of highlight some of the volunteer activities you've got going on and the need for volunteers in your different organizations.
I'll start. So ACTS is made up, really, almost half of our staff is volunteers. We actually just had our volunteer dinner last week, appreciation dinner last week. They volunteer, our food pantry only has 1.5 staff. Everybody else, the other 20 people are all volunteers that help bring food in, make main bags. They work at the front. They help with every aspect of our food pantry. Our volunteers also work in our emergency assistance, processing bills. They also help in our front desk when they come in, signing people in. We have volunteers that work in our housing programs. That we have the reason why we're able to do 24-hour hotline is because we have volunteers. There's not one program at ACT that doesn't encompass volunteers as a part of our day-to-day process. We're always in need, especially in our food pantry. We're always in need to help with because the one thing I forgot to mention, we do have a thrift store. We're only one of 2 nonprofits that all the proceeds from our thrift store goes back to the clients. And that's not said a lot in thrift stores. And that way we can try to keep the prices low so that everybody can afford them. And so they help out a lot with sorting clothes, hanging them, things of that nature. So we're always in need of volunteers. We have a volunteer coordinator. If you go on our website, you'll see a tab for volunteer. Our volunteer coordinator, Tamika Martin, will get, once you put an application, she will get back to you, what you really want to do to volunteer, and she will link you up with wherever that is and with the day and time that is going to.
Thank you. Catholic Charities, of course, has numerous opportunities for volunteers as well. I think I mentioned that we have sort of 5 categories of services through Catholic Charities, and that includes our crisis response, emergency assistance is under that, St. Lucy's Food Hub is under that, there's numerous programs under that. Dignity of Life Health, you know, we have the new Mercy Center that is helping people over in Manassas. We also do newcomer services for immigrants and refugees. And of course, the last category is where my heart lies with transformational housing. At St. Margaret, we're always looking for people who can help by presenting life skills classes. We spend a lot of time on financial literacy, budgeting. We have a wonderful woman from Trinity College who comes out and does a presentation on child development for our families, which is greatly appreciated. We have done couponing. You may have a talent you don't even know you have, but give us a call because we might be able to use you. We also look for child care volunteers on Wednesday nights when we have our life skills. The Munchkins are off from their parents during that time. The St. Paul's Methodist Church is a wonderful partner to us and lets us use their facilities and classrooms to watch the children and to hold our life skills in. So that has been just a miracle for all of us. But we need supervisors of the kids' activities. We have a child services coordinator who developed them, but she still needs help in getting them implemented. We also do regular collections, and you all have helped us with this, with things that food stamps or the SNAP program doesn't buy. So paper goods, diapers, wipes, all basic kind of household stuff, cleaning supplies, feminine hygiene, all of those things are extremely helpful and can help offset a family's budget for the month. And those are very welcome as well. We also have a group, I guess, a list of decorators, I would call it. And when we turn over an apartment, we rely on donated furniture and goods. We do buy fresh beds and mattresses for families and all the linens. However, we want it to look like a home when they come in it, and the families can take anything they want when they leave. So we are doing a lot of refurnishing, as you can imagine, after families depart. So donations of those goods, helping us with setting up the apartments, all of that is very welcome. So I hope you'll give me a call.
Yeah, on that last note about collecting furniture, so when a family stays there, generally a year, 2 years, right?
Up to 24 months.
Up to 24 months. They might have arrived with nothing. Now they leave with all these furnishings for their new apartment. Okay, but now for the next resident, we have to refurnish that. For Margaret. Margaret's home is about 10 minutes away, right?
Right.
They're in our neighborhood, just over the boundaries in OLA, but I really think that C's, we can get a regular group of going over, helping collect furniture, setting up furniture, decorating, shower, I mean, the video that you guys produce is amazing. They need everything, because they're gonna take their shower curtain, they're gonna take, that we could go to Target, buy things that we need to fill in, and just, and then you see that family, or those who come in and just see that this is all their stuff now, and they would be able to take it. But, So this is something I really would like to get, through Monica to coordinate a team that helps us to acquire, furnishings, and then help, transport it and then help decorate these. How many apartments are total?
We have 12 units.
12 units. So, and people are coming in and out all the time, right? So this could be and it can even be stuff we want to get rid of, that's usable, that's decent, but, you get a new couch, it's a win-win.
Dishes, flowers,
Dishes.
glasses.
Yeah,
Anything you use, our families are going to need.
So that's, Ronnie mentioned something I think I'd really like to get a concerted effort, along with all these other wonderful things that acts, that everybody touches their heart. We have 6,000 parishioners here, okay? And, it's our job, my job as your pastor, my role as a spiritual father, and Monica assisting me to make you aware of these things. Okay, so we are going to put things on our new website that's in the mix, in the bulletin you've seen that, our kiosks, and I mean the e-post, we call these e-posters, and the kiosks, the human concerns kiosks. We're going to have more kiosks upstairs. We're going to make it a seamless way with brochures to make it very clear and very simple. This is Margaret of Cortona, furniture collection. This is Axe. This is, the county. We're getting there. Monica kind of started, with that. She kind of put stuff up right away. And I go, yeah, it's not where I want it, but I want to start getting the word out. We're going to make it broader and more simple, okay, of what's going on. Oh, and the other thing, VCC, Virginia Catholic Conference. Yes, yes, yes. Sign up for that newsletter. That is, it's not just national politics, it's state politics, okay? I'm trying to know what's going on, but we're getting there, and it's our job. And then you all, you're big boys and girls, you decide in prayer what God's calling you to do. And I do think a vast majority of our parishioners are just waiting to be asked. They're just unaware of what they can do or can't do. And a lot of these things, come on, don't take a whole lot of time each week. Maybe it's an hour a week, or maybe even Christ. I know parishes that prepare a meal once a month. A parish prepares a meal for those homeless men, okay, once a month on rotation. And you're also working alongside, as Ronnie said, other faiths, other denominations. So what a great ecumenical way, to serve along with not just Catholic brothers and sisters, but others. Okay.
Okay, Tony, you had something from
So a lot of hands up,
And I'll
I'll
take
be
it. I got
about 30
two
seconds.
questions. Go
Well,
ahead.
the last part about helping people move into housing, or this transitional housing, permanent housing.
Excuse me,
is
sir,
some-
could you speak up just?
Sure. When it comes to moving people into housing, whether it's transitional housing or their permanent housing, this is often one of the biggest issues and concerns, which is when you think about when you moved into your first apartment, all the things that you actually had that came with that or that you had to purchase. So there are a couple of programs out there that actually collect all of the information and actually can send it to you in a box, so that reduces staff, or in this case, volunteer time, or church members' time from running around. It's something that we're looking at the county to do as people move into their housing. But specifically to the drop-in center, I can think of two different things that can actually help us in the drop-in center. One is the front desk staff. Can you imagine 60 people coming in the front door at one time? Okay, somebody needs a shower, somebody needs coffee, somebody needs milk, somebody needs cereal. So that's one area we can actually need help. And the other one is what we call day programming or life skills, as she talked about. It could be how to actually manage your budget. It could be a men's group to just talk about men's things. As we mentioned earlier, a lot of times people go through trauma, and there are things that are there that they've never talked about. And a group like that can maybe open it up and hopefully get them connected to a long-term service that can actually help them in a lot of other areas.
So if you want to volunteer, how would you contact?
I would give myself a call, and I can give you my number, 703-792-8308, and I'll connect you with Melanie Barrow, who is the program manager for that program.
And I know that her information. The time we're trying to make 60 people show up, that's at 7 a.m.
Correct.
Just for early birds who want to help. I'm just saying, if you want to be the face of Christ, can you be an early bird because this is not a surprise. It's 11 p.m. I'm your girl. Okay, so right here we have a question here.
I think maybe Tony's the best person to answer this, but I don't know who would know. Are there any protections in place to prevent like landlord retaliation? So like if someone calls the cops to the premises because of an abusive situation, or they call the county inspector because their apartment is inhabitable, like are there protections to prevent them from being like evicted out of like landlord retaliation?
Maybe one of these ladies can answer you better, but I will attempt to answer your question. One of the things that I've actually asked the staff is, I know where I previously came from, which was Arlington, Virginia. There's a legal services in Northern Virginia, which actually has lawyers who you can provide them information about what your circumstances are. I'm trying to find out who is that point of contact here in Prince William County, because that's one of the things we need to actually connect people to. I heard you say yes, so I'm going to kind of defer to my right hand. I'm still learning all those services.
Probably some of this Lula could speak to as well, but there are protections in domestic violence situations that women or the man, whoever's being abused, cannot be displaced because of that. And so a lot of that is addressed in court. The retaliatory aspect in terms of whether or not housing is habitable or not raises a whole different issue, because if you're going to bring in the health department or county zoning, then they may say the house or property is not habitable, in which case they're probably going to be calling Tony's number.
Pretty much the same. We come up with legal aid if they are in need of a lawyer. We mediate circumstances for them if they need be, if they're being put out or displaced because the property is not fit to be in. We walk through with that process with them as well.
Thank you.
Sir, over there.
My name is Johnson. I'm from a local church here in Woodbridge.
Speak up.
We can't hear you.
I said I'm from a local church here in Woodbridge. We just want to appreciate the Catholic Church and the services to provide to the community. My church is a very small church, but we want to be part of the community. We want to give back to the community, but we don't know how we can appropriate our resources to those areas, and that's why we are here today. Maybe you can give us some ideas on how we can appropriate those services.
That's all the questions that are coming to me first. What I would suggest is if you could actually talk to Monica and join the CCOM, because they actually contribute in a lot of different ways. They actually coordinate the meals that are actually provided to two of our shelters as well as the drop-in center. And I think I guess it's one of those things where if you hang around other churches, you can see what some of the things that they're doing. And let me say this to you. It's great what they're doing, but based on the cost of living in this area, we could always use more. So I think you can probably get some ideas by actually joining the CCOM, as well as hearing what some of the other churches are doing as far as the donations are concerned. Okay, and then the last thing that somebody just suggested to me is what Lula mentioned earlier, which is the continuum of care, or what we affectionately call COC. We have members from CCOM who are active members of that meeting that take place basically during 9 to 5. And there are different committees that you can actually join and be a part of, and I can actually give you some more information about that.
Thank you for coming, by the way. Sit there, thank you, right here.
Back to the volunteering, is there a minimum age requirement? Because I would love for I've always been wanting my son and some of his friends to maybe, probably more acts would be suited, like at the thrift store or at food pantries. Is there a minimum age requirement for volunteering?
I think the minimum age is different for each program depending on what they do, because we have as young as 6 years old volunteering at our shelter, like they might come and do some yard work and plant some flowers or things of that nature. At the food pantry, I think it might be like 14 or 15, I think the age group is for that, and in the thrift store. My kids, they volunteer, have been volunteering, what they call toe-tearing. Since I started working for ACTS, and my kids range from 7 to 23. So I have them doing all kinds of stuff.
Catholic Charities, Christ House Food Pantry.
Yeah, the food pantry is for Christ Houses over in Alexandria. You also have a major food hub at St. Lucy's, which is off of Cato Circle in Manassas, and they are always looking for volunteers. They have youth groups who come and help them sort food away it, box it, you name it. We also have a new project called the Mercy Van, and it's the Mobile Response Crisis Van that we are doing with the U.S. Catholic Charities Office, and we are going out presently to Woodstock once a month and distributing needed goods for those folks as well, but we always are looking for volunteers who will spend that day on the Mercy Van helping with distribution, and now have 2 weeks of the van, so we're looking for more volunteers, and we'll be going to additional sites as well. Please look at our website, ccda.org. We have a volunteer webpage, and if you come to any of the meetings like Monica does and meets with Sally O'Dwyer, she is our cheerleader for volunteers, and always has a list of things happening on the website that you can volunteer for.
Okay, I will speak real quick, Peggy, you're next, okay? To the Mobile Response Center. I was fortunate enough, I went out just this past Tuesday on this mobile, I'd gone to a talk that Catholic Charities had done where they were talking about the Mobile Response Center, which we have a collection for right over here. Just to show you, we are in touch with all of these things that are getting mentioned. We are really trying to connect, as Father said. We are trying to get everyone opportunities to see how you can serve in various ways. So I was really, and I'm going to say fortunate, because it was a gift to myself, truly, to go on this trip out to Woodstock. I had heard about this van that they had gotten, and it only just started running in November. I believe was their first trip out there. It's a shared truck. Baltimore has it 1 week, DC has it 1 week, and then it was 1 week here in Northern Virginia, and it was 1 week in repair, is what they were telling me. But they are working on the second week, actually keeping that operating that truck so that it's that it is useful. So they are looking to expand their location. So Woodstock, as you know, is probably about an hour and a half from here. It's on off of 81 there, south of 66. So I went out with a bunch of other volunteers. I happened to Sally O'Dwyer, yes, the volunteer cheerleader, talked with her, and she gave me the name of the person who quickly emailed me and said, yes, we're going out. As a matter of fact, we're going out on Tuesday if you want to go. And I was like, yeah! So I showed up at the St. Lucie warehouse there. It's off of Euclid, off of Liberia. It's 15 minutes from here, 20 minutes maybe. 20 minutes for those who observe the speed limit. I'll get you on that one. So it's a short drive, and then I carpooled with 3 other women who were from different churches. They're a couple from All Saints and all. This was a wonderful opportunity for me to be with other Catholic Christian women and men who want to help. There's a retired gentleman who was driving the truck. So I'm thinking there were maybe like 7 or 8 of us who went out total. And we went out there, and over 80 people between 11 and 2 was the hours that they had the truck out there. Over 80 people came, 80 families came to collect. Our youth here have been helpful in assembling hygiene bags and things like that. Yes, we've been doing all kinds of little snack bags, hygiene bags. Every family gets a hygiene bag. And I happened to recognize one that was there, that went out, and so my heart was warmed that I saw something got made, and it actually was going to a family in need. Those people were so grateful. They're really trying to build some trust with these people. We had some people who just kind of drove by, just want to see what you're offering, and you can tell they're definitely in need. They probably could have used something. And the Catholic Charities staff and volunteers, absolutely phenomenally wonderful, generous, kind people, and just to spend a day with people who are that loving is, like I said, it was a gift to myself. So that Mobile Response Center is a fabulous way to, and as I say, we're collecting items that get put on that van. We delivered a whole load of stuff. This bin had gotten full with all kinds of stuff that I delivered up to the diocese to. Had I known, I would have just driven it to the warehouse, but I didn't know about that till that. So anyway, so the St. Lucie project is really very close, if that's something you want to do. I'm not taking away from access points, my feet up everywhere, and the drop-in center is also very close. It's right off of Telegraph Road by the bus station. So there are, if you have the time, again, some of these things may depend on your schedule to what you can volunteer for. If you're not available during the day, then maybe you can't do some of the next evening, you could certainly teach some classes, obviously, so, that's, so, Peggy, you know.
I just wanted to add just a small piece. The issue of homelessness is very dear to my heart. I've worked in that kind of work for a number of years. And somebody mentioned, I believe it was you, the ACE study, Adverse Childhood Experiences, it's like Ace of Spades. That is a very important document to read. It was research done by Kaiser, and it came out many years ago, but it's still very, it's the creme de la creme response to what's going on. So all you have to do is Google ACE study. You won't have time to look at everything that's written there, but there's a lot of information that's in the summary that if you would like to know more than you already know, something to enhance your knowledge of issues that people experience, sometime if you have some time to sit at the computer and something that would really kind of give you the motivating push, in addition to your coming today and having wonderful speakers and Monica taking on the new job that the Jones family has done for years, it might propel you to find your focus and where you want to follow through on what we've been presented with today. So just Google ACE study and it will come up very quickly, but it's a huge document. So go to the summary and read about the additional issues. Even those you're familiar with, you'll probably get deeper and broader understanding by looking at that study. It's very powerful.
Thank you, Peggy. Bob, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Tony, I may be putting you on the spot on this one.
So good.
Do you have any estimate of how many homeless people we have in Prince William County?
You didn't put me on the spot. We do an annual point in time count in the month of,
I've been involved in several of those.
okay, in January. And I recently just looked at all of our numbers. So basically in 2015, we counted 409. In 2016 and 17, we counted 400. And in 2018, we counted 374. And of that 374, basically 192 persons were singles, and persons and family was 182. And two of those happened to be youth that were under the age of 18 in the singles category.
Eula, while I'm up here, can you touch on what ACTS is doing with the police department and domestic violence, the classes? Are you familiar with that?
Yes, we have, so what we do is we partner with them in several different ways. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, there's something called the LAP program, the Lethality Assessment Program. Maryland is like really huge. They had a really good program. And so other states started to look at it, at their program. And what that program is that a lot of time the police go in to get calls for domestic violence situations. And they go in and they can see where the person that is being abused don't want to leave. Or you think they're like, oh, it's okay, they're gonna be okay. They might take the perpetrator away, but they feel like there's no in or out for them. So what the lethality assessment program does, it gives the police that show up, they do an assessment. And on this assessment, it tells what the degree is that the person will come back and harm them either again or even worse. So they call us, if they feel like they're in danger, they call us, and we try to get them, talk them into, at that point right there, they talk to a domestic violence advocate, and we try to work with them and talk them into coming into our domestic violence shelter. If they don't want to come into ours, we try to talk them into maybe going to a hotel, going to a family or a friend, at least for the night. Try to get them to come into our program the next day, if it's like late at night, or if they can come in that day. We'll even provide transportation to get them to come in. Let's talk about what's going on. Let's talk about a safety plan. Let's talk about the will of violence, the things, different things that happen, and what's going on, and see if we can help get them some kind of help. A lot of times, people are afraid. They know that, okay, you took them to jail, but this is like the third time. What's gonna happen when they get out? What they found in the program in Maryland, and we just started April the 1st doing the lethality assessment. All the police officers, detectives, all ranks have been trained on this program. They will continue to train when they're in the academy to make sure that this program is very successful. We're working with the Attorney General's office to make sure they're providing free phones for the program for the domestic violence people to be able to call and for the police to be able to call us and say, hey, this is what's going on. Virginia is really trying to make sure that it is throughout the state of Virginia, that is uniform throughout the state of Virginia. They come out, we do training, we got training with the police at the same time. So we're working really diligently with them to make sure that this program works. Because what they found in Maryland is that the amount of deaths from domestic violence after they instituted this program went down. So we're really trying to prevent that in Prince William as well, just all over the country, just anywhere that there's a domestic violence. So like I said, we started, we really want to see what the numbers are within a year, and so that we can also share this same information with other counties, especially in Northern Virginia, so that it's implemented as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I just piggyback?
Sure.
That program is really very, very important. It started out with Dr. Jackie Campbell at Johns Hopkins over in Maryland. That's why it started in Maryland. She did the research and developed what was originally called the danger assessment. And it's just very exciting that Prince William is now doing it. It's been proven to make a huge difference. So I'm very excited about it.
I just have a quick question. Mostly for Lou, with the ACTS program. You mentioned having a lot of programs such as for domestic violence or sexual assault assistance. Are these programs, are they need tested? In other words, can these be available for people that may not be in a poverty threshold, but are at a loss of where to go for help with domestic violence or like a sexual assault?
All of our programs are free, except for the batterer program.
But if they don't have, I guess my question is, if they're not really, they have a poverty of knowledge, as opposed to maybe a poverty of cash, can they go to you as a stepping off place
Yes.
for those kind of issues?
Yes, they can. We, like I said, we work diligently. Like, you don't even have to have been in one of our shelters, gotten a call from one of our hotlines. We have one of the programs we have is for victims that were abused when they were a kid and now they're an adult. Like, we're really trying to cover the gamut of what the issue is, who the issue is, look at the person. Like I said, everything is confidentiality. We work with them where they are. And that's the main thing, is meeting people where they are. Because sometimes people are ready to share, but they want to share just to you. They might not be ready for a group. They might not be ready for a therapy session with more than one person. So we really try to meet them where they are and walk them through the program and walk them through what they need and try to get the best results from that as possible.
Tony, I just want to make sure that you have heard and worked with the Prince William Area Free Clinic for medical care. If you happen not to be aware of it, you should be, because the clinic, if you need care, you will get care there. I used to be on the board of directors in the recent past, and so we used to do a lot with the homeless down in your area, but we've changed personnel, and these things take unique skills, and sometimes we don't have the right skills to deal with that population, which is a very difficult population, as you all know, to get them in and trust you, to provide care.
Ken, where is the clinic located?
I'm sorry?
Where's the clinic located?
On the Parkway, like you take Highway 1, right off
It's across from Fred Lynn Middle School, right?
Redland Middle School. But it's on the Parkway, not too far from Our Lady of Angels, just up, just right there.
Near the intersection of Highway 1 and Prince William Parkway.
There's a senior center there, a day senior center. It's just up the hill from it.
There used to be an Episcopal church, I'm
Right.
sorry, I forgot the name of the church.
So Tony, did you have, Are you working with?
Well, what I was gonna say is, no, my staff is more than likely familiar with it. We've been working with Centaur. We actually have a medical van that actually comes to the drop-in center once a month, and I'll ask them specifically about this particular program and see if they're familiar with it. If not,
Give me your card, I'll give you direct contact.
no problem.
Manassas, I think, has just opened a free clinic too. If not, it will be soon. I'm not real sure about Manassas.
There's a Catholic deacon or something.
This is what Ronnie was
Yes,
talking about
cafeteria,
in Manassas, that free medical clinic that just opened in Catholic Charities.
Yes, which I went to go visit as well on a field trip, and it's absolutely beautiful. And the director who runs it is a marvelous, marvelous woman, very kind as you would. That's the beauty when you work with people who care. They're really nice people. Really, it's always nice to work with people who care. So that's a great thing when you're thinking of volunteering as well. You know, you get, I know I get encouragement by working with people who also care, and standing next to another volunteer, there's often a great exchange, especially, you know, of a shared faith in Christ and the difference that faith has made in our lives. And I've done that with, on an ecumenical basis as well. It's not just other Catholics, but when I stand next to other people of faith, it really does make a difference. So, yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Valerie Noel, and I'm from Faith AME Church here in Woodbridge. And I'd like to say thank you so much for inviting us, and I've learned so much this afternoon. But is there a program from anyone there for people who need assistance sometime with their medication? Because we often get like calls sometime at our church, a very small church, like for insulin. I thought it was crazy. It's being like almost $200 a bottle for a bottle of insulin. Is there some place that have, and these are working people who just really could not afford their medication?
At ACTS, in our emergency assistance program, we have a prescription program. We partner with shoppers to try to make sure we get everything at the lowest cost possible. And we have a prescription. They have to bring the original prescription in, and they work with our case manager. They work with shoppers and try to get their prescription filled. We also do some work with Walmart because we need some stuff for $4, and we work with them as well.
Is that through the, did you make an appointment through the online process?
Yes,
for
through the
that,
online
the
process.
assistance?
Yes.
So that's how they would get to, they would need to make an appointment to go talk to a case manager. You don't have a separate, like, pharmacy?
No. they
Okay,
have
so
to talk to
that's,
the-
just so you know, that's how online you would go to their online appointment system and be able, that's how the people would hook up then to get a case manager.
Okay, thank you.
Similarly, Catholic Charities
Okay.
out of Christ House has an emergency assistance program that also helps with those needs. And again, like the ACTS program, you do have to make an appointment and work with a volunteer on getting those needs met.
Right, and again, the idea of making an appointment is because we're working with the whole person. So if you have one need, chances are you probably have 7 other needs. And so when you're looking at a whole person, you can address the one thing they come in for, but as we know, one thing is just the gateway to another. Yeah, another question.
I'm assuming this is the case, but just to confirm, is there any restrictions in terms of immigration status for any of the services that are provided? I'm assuming probably not through the nonprofits, but through the county, are there restrictions? Like at the drop-in center?
I would assume no. It's not brought to my attention that that is an issue, but this question comes up often. We came up with the presentation Lou and I were at on Thursday, and of course, you know, when it comes to state or federal funding, it does present a problem, but on a local level, I do not believe so. I think what we do is we don't require IDs and things of that nature per se. What we want to try to do is find out what is your need and what do we have in terms of resources to connect you to.
I will just add the free clinic, if you are on food stamps, you qualify for free health care.
I have a question actually for Ronnie. I know how people come in through through the entry to housing through the county and through there. How do people qualify for one of the units at Catholic Charities? How do you get your?
Well, hopefully we'll have some open units. We are undergoing a rehab right now with the help of Home Aid, and I understand Home Aid is also helping another program here. And so what we normally do is send out notice of vacancies to area shelters here in Prince William, as well as others in the diocese, because we accept families from other communities as well, Fairfax, Loudoun, domestic violence shelters as well. We are a work-based program, but not having legal status does not prohibit you from our program. What we're not going to encourage is under the table working, but we do work with families to help them get those skills, and we have worked with them through Hogarth Legal Services to help them gain status.
Behind Virginia, the girl there, behind blue shirt. She was the first to Virginia. We're also kind to one another.
I have a very basic question, and I'm probably very naive. I usually keep dollar bills in my car to, like, if I stop at the light and there's a person there, I'll give a couple of dollars or something. But yet sometimes it's like, well, I hope this is a good person and they can use it for food. But sometimes it's like if you see a younger man or something, I always goes through my head, well, I wonder if he wants this for drugs. And so I don't really know who the homeless are. I mean, different categories of the homeless, like people who maybe lost their homes because of the economic situation, or people who are just, homeless people. And
Can I answer that? And I'll sort of let you guys add to that. I struggle with the same thing. I have a little visor thing above mine, and I stick dollar bills in there. And I have. You know what I'm going to start doing? And this is just a suggestion. I'm going to have those cards, and I'm going to start giving those cards. Okay, because I struggle too, and I don't know, and I understand we do a little bit of research in these, they get out of a very nice van and they go to all the street corners and then they come back and collect, and it's this business. So I'm going to give the cards out. So maybe we suggest that.
Again, we can always tell people, really, in all honesty, if you are supporting this parish here, you are supporting these organizations and the county we do overnight shelter meals at the shelter that's open 365. It used to be the hypothermia unit. We two meals a month we provide for that shelter. Hildebarg, we have look at our kitchen. We've got all that food we have this week. We're doing the meals at the Hildebarg. So you are supporting those who are helping the whole person. So again, if you're looking in all good conscience, you can say, I support organizations that help people in need. Again, I'm not going to tell anybody, if your heart is moved and you really feel this person standing in front of you is presenting a legitimate need, and you feel God is calling you to respond to that, I'm not going to tell you not to do that. There are times when I will do something when somebody asks me. But here's the thing, I really believe if the person's lying, it's on them. God knows what's in my heart and why I want to help, but I also don't want to be a stooge or whatever, to be taken advantage of. A stooge, I don't want to be one of them. So I feel very good when I say I support all the people right here are representing, and other areas as well. So you are helping, and you can legitimately tell people this. Like Father said, have a card and say, you know what, I support many of these food banks, many of these organizations that are on this card. And so please go to them, because they told me I should send them to you. I should send you to them. Right? Is this?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was going to say as well. One of the committees I work on in the COC, we're actually working on bringing a campaign to the community, because education is key, information is key. If you really want to help, give to an organization that is doing that work. And it's not saying, I don't know what they're doing with the money, and I'm not saying they're drugs or any of that things, but if they're the same people on the street every day, 365 days a year, and everybody's handing them money, and you're not giving them an incentive to make their lives better. Sometimes people see it, that's my job. My job is panhandling, but that's not your job. That's you asking for money. So what like I said, we're working on is educating the community on taking that money that you would give that person standing at the street corner and give it to an organization or your church that is supporting those organizations, so that money can go into housing them, or providing educational programs, or providing job skills, or providing resume writing classes, or things of that nature. Because if you want, in order to help people, you have to help them help themselves. And sometimes we feel like, oh my gosh, does. It makes you feel bad because you think about what you have and looking at them and what they don't have. But sometimes you have to give people that little bit push to help themselves. He said, if you make one step, he'll make two. You need to help them make them 2 steps. And like the father said, give them that card. I think that's an awesome idea. Give them that card because now they know where to go to get that help.
And I like what Lula just said, because I'm gonna take all those bills in my visor now, and now I'm gonna put it in the collection. I'm gonna give it to him. Because really, that's the best way. And I'm gonna then feel a clear conscience by telling that person at my window, you know what, I'm praying for you, and I do give to these groups. Please contact them. And then I know before the Lord that I've done what my Christian duty.
To answer your question, I mean, homelessness has no particular face, so it's hard to determine whether or not the person that is approaching you is genuine or just somebody asking for something. You often have persons who can move into permanent housing, and it's just part of their routine, so they put the homeless sign up, hoping to pull on heartstrings. But again, similar to Monica, I think that's your choice. And Lula stole some of my thunder here because I know her group is working on stuff. I mean, for example, in Virginia Beach, I think you guys looked at. Virginia Beach has where you park at, a portion of that money actually goes to the homeless, or if you have loose change in another jurisdiction, might have been LA, where you put the loose change in there, and that those dollars and cents goes to some organization. So I think you guys are in a good place here, that your church is an active part of CCOM, so I think you can have a clear conscience to donate there, and again, pass out those cards that the church is going to use.
One last question here. Just make a comment regarding medications, and this is kind of for everybody too. Oftentimes people come out of the hospital, I do home health nursing, so they'll come home from the hospital, they've got prescriptions, they go to the pharmacy, come back, and they say this isn't covered, or this is the amount, and it's the clerk telling them that, they get their prescriptions and come home. There are often, if you talk to the pharmacist, substitute medications that are as equally as effective and may be covered under their insurance. The doctors, when they're writing, are not checking what your insurance covers, okay? That happens all the time. So it may be a first step just to see, either talk to the pharmacist, call them. Is there another medication that's covered or less expensive that's just as effective? And then even going to the physicians, contacting the physicians, is there something else? Your doctors might already know the meds, but that's a.
Do you want to add something onto that
issue?
Yeah. Jumping on topic, Kim and I know each other. I'm a director of an ER, used to be, and the doctors are in a hurry. I don't know all of you in this room. I don't know what insurance you have. I don't know what it covers. I don't know what it doesn't. My Cigna insurance for my salary is the same Cigna insurance it works with doctors. Okay? For me, my $50 copay is nothing. So get at McDonald's, you can't do it. Tell the doctor. The doctor has 5 seconds in front of you. I would tell you to encourage absolutely everybody to go to Walmart, go to Target, print off the list. No doctor is going to look down on you if you go, Doc, I need a drug off this list. You can get Zithromax for a $40 copay because you're only taking 3 pills. 2 on the first day, 2 each day after that. You can take for $4 amoxicillin for 7 days. And a lot of people will get the amoxicillin and get healthy, but never get the Zithromax and they keep getting sicker. So, and the doctors don't care. They'll look at the list. They know the substitutes. So it's really, again, it's about the education, you know, and that's what it's really about.
Okay, and that's kind of good, a nice segue to our, I want to keep it to the time. I respect these people. It is a Sunday for them as well. So I want to thank all of you for coming out, and especially to our guests who came from other churches. I know I put something out through the CCOM. Dave's here also. We have a number of other guests from other churches. So thank you for coming through our doors. You are always welcome to come through our doors. Did you have one last thing there? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You were going to ask your question, and then I want to say.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
My name is Flor Salvador. I'm actually an outreach and enrollment coordinator from Greater Prince William Community Health Center. And I was listening to some of the questions that were asked, and I actually think this was a very informative session. And at our health center, I'm sorry, I'm not speaking loud enough. We do have a homeless program, and we do under that homeless program, we work closely to with acts as well in our Dumfries location. We have walk-in hours for our homeless patients. They're actually seen under our grant for free. We have, or under an income if they're working or however their situation is. We do have primary care, dental, behavioral health. We also have pediatrics, OBGYN, prenatal care, gynecology, all in one center. And we did that program. We are trying to let the community know because there's a lot of patients that don't know that they can be seen in the center. And we do have, we work closely with Express Pharmacy, and they do work with free or even reduced chronic medication, or even under the homeless program as well. So you can go to that pharmacy, even if you don't come to our center, you can go to that pharmacy and they can help them with, they would just need, I believe, a referral from a homeless agency, and they can help them as well. So it's just something that but this was very great to come to, and thank you so much for having us here.
What was the name and location of your facility?
Greater Prince William Community Health Center. We have 3 locations in Woodbridge, Manassas, and Dumfries.
So, Father, will you address how people, we've heard a lot.
Yes.
How people-
Yes.
I guess if anything we've gleaned from this, and again, I echo Monica's sentiments, a deep sense of gratitude for you all and your presence here today. As a priest for 19 years, I'm just coming to a greater realization and understanding that any problem that any of us come across that someone's struggling with, there are people and resources to help. I think the greatest struggle people have is it's a situation seems hopeless, or who can I go to, who can help? And we do want to, it's an information thing, it is, and we are going to try to push it out. But as a parish, we want to make our parishioners aware. We want to partner with other churches, with other organizations. We don't ask anybody their religion, okay? And I know those other churches around us, or these services. And we don't push religion on anybody. You know, we pray because that's who we are. But we don't expect people to pray if that's not something they're comfortable with, okay? So your pastor, you know where my heart is on it. That's where the Catholic Church is. We're all, and we understand we're all equal in dignity before God, and all children of God. So if you would like to, you can take a bulletin, and Mana Padagno's Human Concerns, her email address, these other groups and organizations in our churches that are with us today, we would love to kind of get on an email, and I know the Cooperative Council has all of this, but just your presence here today, we would like to be aware, and how we as a St. Laurentine Church can partner with you in any way that we can help, or you can help us. Okay. So we'll make these
Postmans
bulletins.
they're at the door. If anybody wants it, my email is mpadagno@cs1.org. So if you want to grab one, it's printed in there.
Tom has them on
I'll
the.
put a stack on the table. I'll put a stack there for you. So if you want to contact me with again, your information about, send me those links or those emails, anybody who had something they wanted to share. And if anybody wants, you can ask me and I will hook you up with whomever. I'll take it all in and process it. Like nothing else. I'm very happy to help connect to people, resources, to people who need it, people who want to give, and people who love, to people who are so hurting and in need of love. So
After 9 a.m.
After 9 a.m. Right. Thanks for part of the CCOM, and our meeting started at 8:30, and you know it's really not till 9:30. Which my apologies to half the population that really likes to get up early. So I would like to close out in prayer. Are we good with that? Can we stand? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, good and gracious God, we thank you so much for this opportunity that you have provided with people with generous hearts who have given up their time to come and share some information about what our county, our local organizations, and indeed the Catholic Church is all doing in response to this issue of homelessness. We ask your blessings on all of those who are working with the homeless, working with your children who are broken and wounded and in need of a loving, kind, helping hand, a face that reflects that of your Son, Jesus. So we ask your blessings on all of them, blessings of God on all the people who have come here today who, out of interest in this subject matter, may now take some of this information and go out and be Christ to all that they encounter. And we ask all of this through your Holy Spirit, and of course in the name of your Son, Jesus. And then pray now our Father together. Our
Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Thank you all for coming. Have a very blessed day.
Take some cookies, because they leave them for the priests. You don't want any extra cookies.
I don't have